Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam, ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. I stumbled across a video that had a question within it that I thought maybe I could answer. I don't know if I'm the person to answer, but I'm going to give it a try. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Aisha Murray. I'm a revert Muslim from Scotland, alhamdulillah. There's a channel called Sony Faz. Sorry, if I'm butchering the pronunciation, I apologise. But it seems to be like a non-Muslim mum and son duo. They react to videos. And I think right now they're reacting to a lot of Muslim content. They recently reacted to a spoken word that was created by a Muslim called The Greatest Woman, speaking about the inspirational women in Islam and motivating sisters within society to stick to their principles and values. Sony Faz and Mum reacted to it and they said something that I picked up on and felt like I could help with. So let's watch it, inshallah.
What do you think about women wearing hijabs too?
So I never understood it, and then I learned a fact about let's just say 2,000 years ago, around when Jesus was coming around. So the women, I know this is true for the Jews. The reason that women covered their hair was because they understood that men were like always looking like and were attracted. So women wore very modest clothing that went straight down, so they couldn't see curves and things the way or skin the way they do now. So a woman's hair was the thing that would tempt a man, so to speak, and catch his eye. So they covered their hair as just a way to avoid BS between the sexes, basically, and a way to keep women protected from unscrupulous men. The eye. So when I think of it that way, it was a way to protect them. It wasn't a way to oppress them. The way that we're told today that a woman covering her hair is to oppress her, when it really is just to protect her from the eyes of unscrupulous men. And it didn't. But once I heard that and I understood it, I was like, okay, I get that now, and I understand that, and I appreciate it. If women choose that and they choose to keep themselves modest to prevent that happens between men and women, because not all men are going to be wonderful, and that's just the reality, and people suck. We all do. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting because they knew at the time that a big part of women's values in their beauty. So it's like almost how women covering up their hair and protecting their body from what would ultimately be a threat. Like what would be the reason that people would be a threat to them, because they would come after them for that reason.
Well,
It's similar to how, like, as a man you gotta like hide your money and stuff like that. Just walk around with big chains in a bad area. Does that make sense, or am I tripping?
It doesn't. I'm caught up on you saying that they understood that value wasn't beauty, and I don't know that that's necessarily true, but it was definitely to prevent temptation.
At the end of the day, it's a means to protect women,
Yes.
not control them. Yeah.
Yes. I would like somebody to explain to me, though, why some women have to wear that, like Muslim women have to wear the whole face covering with just the eyes coming out. Like, I don't get at all. I don't understand. Is there a good reason for it? What's the reason for it? I'd like to at least hear it so I can react to it, but I don't know. Do you know?
No, I think it's just a preference thing, to be honest, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, no, truly have no idea. And to me, that just seems like really uncomfortable and inconvenient. And I also really think that a person's face is a big part of their expression in this world. I don't think that we all need to run around, shaking our junk all over in front of everybody. But I think that a face, a smile, an expression is a big part of how we communicate.
Yeah, that was
so
a big thing
I don't get, and I'd be curious to see, I'd have a respectful ear for whatever explanation is on that.
Yeah, that was a big thing with COVID, like wearing masks everywhere. It got rid of like that I don't know, that connection with other people. Everything just felt like you're interacting with robots.
I think a lot was said there, so I'm going to try and break it down as best as possible. Inshallah, God willing, I do it justice. So I thought it might be best to start with the fact that I'm going to be covering Mum in the video. I'm calling you Mum because I don't know your name, so I just want to be respectful. I really hope me covering you in the video doesn't offend you, and if it does, I apologise. It's about showing you respect and honour in the way that I would my own mum. So Mum said in the beginning she didn't really understand the purpose of hijab, but when she looked back in history, I think she referenced the Jews, why they used to cover their heads, what was the purpose, and then it started to make sense to her. She understood that it was something that a woman did to protect herself from the unwanted attention of men. And if we look at the Quran, Surah 33, Ayah 59, it says, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves part of their outer garments. That is more suitable, that they will be known and not be abused. And ever is Allah forgiving and merciful. Now, this is a translation, and just in case mum doesn't know, hijab is not just a headscarf. Hijab translates to conceal and cover, like generally. So the terminology within the Arabic language, within the linguistics, allows us to understand the level of covering and the amount of covering that we need to do. So very similar to what you were saying, to conceal and cover ourselves is a means of protecting ourselves from unwanted attention. For those who are not used to covering, or for those who live in a community that don't cover in the level and way that we cover, I can understand why for some it appears extreme. But I would argue that if we look back in history, it's only in the last 100 years or so, maybe just a wee bit more than that, has this become an abnormal thing. I did a talk the other day where I was speaking about Scotland and my country and the traditional garments that we used to wear. For women, it would be an araseed. And to be honest with you, it's very similar in terms of principles to how Muslims cover today, you know. So for Muslims, it is to preserve that. The Quran is preserved, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, another source of guidance, that is preserved. So with that, its rulings are preserved. You made a little bit of a distinction between hair and face, but actually, if we were to talk about it and think about it, many people would say that the face is the centre point of a woman's beauty. So that's why some people cover. In terms of whether it's mandatory or not, there is a grey area, but there is definitely a consensus on the bare minimum, which is to cover the whole body except the hands and the face. By practicing hijab and wearing niqab, I am setting boundaries, really. I'm not here to be objectified. I am not just anybody's to look at. If for any reason I had to speak to the opposite gender, it would be done in a way where I'd be upholding my dignity and honour, in a way that they would have to hear and listen to my words, rather than judge my credibility on how I looked. To me, demanding this sort of respect and taking this sort of control, because I am in control how much of me people get to see, it really is the true definition of liberty and freedom. I think the unachievable beauty standards that are set today are an oppression on women. And I say this coming from a background where I was non-Muslim, where I had the freedom to do what I wanted and to dress how I wanted. And I can honestly say that I wouldn't change, exchange, or sell my garments for anything. My worth is already set. I've already been told how valuable I am as a woman. So this is a way of me preserving and maintaining that, inshallah. Mum also mentioned the convenience part, and I really just wanted to break some stereotypes there. Me dressed the way I am now, if I was to go outside, I'm very aware that I'm representing Islam and I'm representing Allah. I go outside putting my best foot forward. So you won't see me in places where I shouldn't be. You won't see me around, I want to say people, but I really mean people's actions. So you won't see me around people whose actions are criminal maybe, or unbefitting of either a woman or a Muslim. You know, I take the responsibility of representing Islam very seriously, because I feel like it has been so misrepresented. I imagine that since you have been looking into Islam and you've been having conversations, you will start to see that yourself. You will start to see that some of the things you thought you knew about Islam are polar opposite. In terms of the everyday going about shopping, kids, schools, and this sort of thing, it's actually probably more convenient than you realise. Like, these clothes and materials are very flowy and breathable, so everything feels really comfortable, to be honest with you. Unless you're getting it from places that don't really specialise in making these garments for the purposes that we wear it. I've done hikes with the clothes that I wear on. I've climbed the biggest mountain in Scotland with the clothes that I wear on. Obviously, you need to be more aware that you're wearing long garments when you're doing such activities, you know, safety and all that jazz. So in terms of that type of convenience, it is very convenient. I do want to be transparent. When it gets hot in the summer, sometimes these sort of garments can be a challenge. Again, it just depends on the person in the garment. But yeah, no, it definitely can be a struggle. However, that puts me on to my next point, which is the main reason why we cover the way we do. And it's also the main reason why we do anything in Islam. All the other important practices we do as Muslims, like praying and fasting, etc., etc. We do it because it has been commanded to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, He is our creator. He is the most loving, the most just, and the most wise. He knows us better than we know ourselves. We don't assume because certain things are the norm today that they are the standards to measure by. No, it's Allah's standards that count. We measure by Allah's standards, and we are very secure and comfortable in that. To be honest with you, it brings about a sort of peace and relief. I want to say relief. When I leave things up to Allah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm content. I'm peaceful. And I think stuff like that is invaluable. I think it was the Sun, I can't remember because I've been talking for ages now, but I think the Sun mentioned the pandemic. I don't know if you got the point I was trying to make there, that how everybody was wearing the face coverings and how that sort of took away from, I can't remember how he phrased it, but took away from how people connect to each other. And actually, I felt that that period of time should have taught people that you can communicate through a face covering. People can get to know you and understand you, whether your face is covered or not. So I thought it was an opportunity, and for some it was. It sort of taught people to see the person behind the mask, you know, because the mask was so sort of normalised. If you were to meet and have a conversation with a niqabi, I'm sure you would realise how much a person can oppose the stereotype. I'm yet to meet timid or oppressed niqabi. In fact, some of the best women I have ever met wear niqab. They exude strength and power and dignity and honour and self-control. I'm always inspired by them, and yeah, they make me want to be better than what I am. They make me want to try harder. And like I said before, a true example of what it means to be liberated and free. I just want to put it out there that any mistakes I've made in this video is from me and my limitations as a human being, and a sign of my need for knowledge. But any good in this video is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, the one and only Almighty. Hope everyone is doing good, and I'll see you all very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.